The opinions expressed in the following program are that of the guests. They do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Graffstars, The Art of Writing, the HECKONE Duel Network, its affiliates, or any association thereof.
The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences.
Hector always knew he was gonna make it. It was like he was prepared for it. Hector! Hector! Hector!
Hector! In a world where defending your reputation meant everything and credibility was established through style and originality, graffiti was born. For the last 40-plus years, through fights, wars, and raids, writers sacrificed everything to develop the art of writing. Now, Graffstars will give you a front-row seat into the minds of some of the most influential writers of our time.
This is the moment we've all been waiting for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Yeah.
Yo, this is Laso Rock TGD Crew, and I'm rocking with HECKONE Duel on Graffstars. Peace.
Graffstars.
I don't wanna be like this.
Yo.
Really wanna hurt no feelings.
What up?
But I'm only being real when I say nobody wants to hear their grandfather rap.
Yo,
What's
D.
No men have heart
We
attacks.
good,
What up,
baby.
man?
We good, baby. Another episode, brother.
For that, so put the mic down.
Yeah, man. We out here. That last one was a good one, man. A lot of people been listening to it and giving us some good feedback on it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, if you haven't listened, go back and binge listen. You're gonna love it, man. Word up.
Got another Red Eye freaking damn special for you tonight. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
And
sir.
it's a good one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good one, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean.
Try to hit you with those freaking back-to-back hits. You know what I mean?
Nah,
hope y'all ready. Nah, me. Got your tape recorders out, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, brother. So, real quick, man, you got any shout-outs you want to give real quick before we get this guest in?
Shout out. Let me see who I got today. I want to shout out Graffiti Pete, man. He just sent me a nice, juicy box full of all kinds of laser engraved goodness. Go check this dude out, man. Graffiti Pete on Instagram. Hey, he's tearing it up with that freaking engraver, man. It's precision shit. You know what I'm saying? It's real nice. He hooked me up with some stickers, some cutouts. All kinds of crazy stuff, man. What that guy does with that machine is amazing, man. You should give him a check him out.
Big shout out to my man TK. You know what I'm saying? We spoke today. You know, big shout out, man. Just, you know, hope you're doing good. And you know, just want to wish you well, brother. You know what I'm saying? Always good kicking.
Word up, teeing off for life.
Hell yeah, brother. Big track too. Big shout out to my man.
Word up.
Also, my man KATKK. He sent me a dope ass picture, which I'm gonna post probably tomorrow. It's a dope pic. It came out in a movie, actually, some old school shit. So be on the lookout for that one. And my man June457, always good kicking it. You know, friend of the show, loyal listener. You know what I'm saying? Just a good dude all around. You know, so that's it, man. That rounds out my shout outs for today. That's it. We done.
Word.
Ready to bring the talent in.
Yeah, get him, man.
Graffstars,
baby.
We got him in the lobby. We got him in the lobby waiting, man. All right, without further ado.
We got Kel first. Kel 139 on the line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we've been good friends for a little while, you know what I'm saying? And we're really happy to bring him on the show. Why don't you give us a quick little background, you know, your origins and whatnot for our listeners so they can kind of be brought up to speed and whatnot.
Well, I mean, I'm originally, you know, from Spanish Harlem, but I grew up in the South Bronx and East New York, in those three areas in Manhattan, but mostly the Bronx and Brooklyn. I used to rock with Don D and CIA and those guys, and Kid 56 and Mitch 77 in the Bronx, and Crash and Cos and Shy with Rock On City that turned into Rockstars, and you know all the other writers like Case 2 and Butch and Who else is up there? There's a lot of heads up in the Bronx, man. Like Bear 167, rest in peace.
Bear, rest in peace.
Yeah, so there's a lot of heads, man. So, I spent a lot of time kind of rolling around, connecting with cats in different neighborhoods, and part of, the whole slave of writing and getting up was really to get around and meet folks and insert myself in those neighborhoods and become friends with people and go bombing with them in their neighborhoods and get to know who they are and really become part of their family, right? Just coming all the way out to neighborhoods where people don't know me and just be friends just on the strength of, like, I came all the way out here from way the hell out in the South Bronx, and, it's not to start no beef, it's just to go get up and chill and have a good time.
So where did it all begin? Where did it all begin? The very beginning.
So, I mean, the very, very beginning of all of that, it's funny you asked that, too, because I'm actually in the middle of writing, like, the book of KEL, essentially.
All right.
And I've got, I've been working on it for years, but now it's starting to kind of fine-tune, working with editors and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I'm actually in the very beginning of writing that, where it all began, right? I used to go to a junior high school called IS 139 on Brook Avenue.
Okay.
And when I was going to that school, I had classmates that knew about writing more than I did. I used to see it because I used to ride the subways, and I see Is the Wiz and Sly 108 and Puma 107, Kindle, Box Top, and all those old guys like getting up. And I used to be like, damn, man, I want to do that. They had the flavor Uni-Y tags and those fancy wild style tags. And I had a classmate that used to write DEA 167. He knew a lot about graph in the sense that he knew the real cats.
Right.
Like he was friends with V2 and Shane and Cade and a lot of those guys.
Damn.
And he knew all about all the top writers at the time. He knew most of them. He knew where they hung out, right at Writers Corner on 149th Street in Grand Concourse. And he was the one who kind of turned me on to like the whole shit. Right? He was like, you got to go here. These are the kind of markers you got to use. This is the kind of ink you got to use. This is where we go get it. He showed me the spots up in the Bronx, up on like Zuriga Avenue, and this little candy store way out in the middle of nowhere that used to just for $1, I think it was like $1.50, you could buy a little can of Flowmaster ink, and like for another $1 you could buy a mini Y.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
That's nice.
I mean, the prices are ridiculous when you think about it.
Right?
And,
no need to rack then.
Oh, yeah. But you think about it, like you couldn't even get it it was way behind the counter. You had to ask for it, right? And through him, I met like Dude 7, who then used to write Books 119, BS 119. I did pieces with him later on with T-Kid on the 2s and 5s and stuff like that. And there were a lot of these guys are local writers, and my brother got involved, so it was me, my brother, and then they from hanging out with them, we met K56, who used to live. We lived on 130th Street. He lived on 156 in, I think Melrose or something like that. And we started hanging out. So with Kid, we really kind of branched out and went all over the city to rack paint and meet other writers and get up and go to the yards. But we didn't go to the yards the first time with him. We actually went to the yards with my classmate D167, who introduced me to this other guy, Rio. He used to get up on a 6-line, Rio, R-E-O. And he had a fat tag with a big Uni-Y. He used to smash the insides, man. Real super dope tag. Damn. And that became the real beginning of it, right? Because once started to get the sense of going in the yard, tagging up, doing pieces, and I couldn't even reach the train. I was short. I was a little dude still, like I couldn't reach even the window.
Damn.
So standing in the yard to try to paint something, I did like midget pieces, and it's funny because they're small.
Yeah.
These little tiny pieces, I forget what color I used. Oh, it was avocado green and black paint, right? So it was this brand that we racked up from. It's actually the first time I met Is the Wiz too. So D was friends with Is the Wiz, and he goes, "Yo, we're gonna go get paint." And I said, "Bet." So he says, "We're gonna go to Alexander's on 59th Street in Lexington, and we're gonna get paint there." And I was like, "Dude, but why we gotta go all the way down there? Like, we're in the hood, but can't we go to Woolworths or some Martin Paint type place nearby?"
Nice.
He goes, "No, these guys got the spot." I was like, "All right." So, we three little munchkins going downtown, hop the train, go up in Alexander's, the store, looking like straight, getting into trouble kind of kids. And so go in the store, and who do we see? Is this big white dude who looks like a cop. And I was like, "Oh, shit, yo, there's a detective there." He goes, "No, that's Ike." He goes, I'm like, "Who?" He goes, "That's Ike. Is." And so they, they say what's up and introduce me to him, and he goes, so Iz goes, "Yo, the rack is burnt, man. That guy over there's a cop." But in fact, Iz had racked up some paint as he was talking to us, slipped out the store with his stash.
Mm-hmm.
The guy, the store detective was like checking us out, but he realized like we weren't going to do nothing because we were too scared. So he went after Iz, but Iz had already slipped out the store. So while he slipped away trying to get Iz, we snatched up a couple cans. I grabbed the black and an avocado green.
Mm-hmm.
It's real shit paint, man. And we were in the yard with Rio, and I'm doing this piece, and it was nothing but fumes, kid. But I tell you, man, it was like I defogged myself trying to fill in this stupid thing. Because all that came out was mostly air and smoke, right? It wasn't
little particles and shit that didn't stick to the metal.
Man, it was awful. But, but I did this little midget piece that ran the next day, and I saw it, and I was like, "Oh, that's dope." Felt all proud.
You were like, "Yo, get a selfie right here, man, with that 110 camera."
Man. I was so open. Are you kidding? And that, that led to a lot of things, and then
you ain't lying.
Yeah, that opened up the whole thing, So the 6ix9ine wasn't as interesting after that, even though it wasn't like I did something tremendous at that point, right? It was interesting in the sense that it was the first experience, and in the sense gave me the confidence to come back and want to do bigger pieces, even though I couldn't even reach the window. But also be able to come back and really smash the insides and really perfect my style and my technique and be better at that. And that kind of just rolled into hanging out with Kid, who was probably more advanced at the time than I was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most of the stuff I seen from Kid was mostly like simples and block style. He had a juicy throw, he had nice hand styles too, but I didn't really see much like wild style type thing. But people are like known for like the wild style, like one of the wild style masters. You know what I'm saying? And it's why don't you give us a little background on that wild style and how you develop it?
That whole thing, starts to kind of evolve over time. And so that you got to remember, this is all middle school, junior high school stuff. And throughout that process, I wanted to be an architect or a journalist. By the time I got into high school is where it really kind of wild style and really getting better at piecing and getting better at letter styles and understanding the scale, right? How to paint something, to scale. whether it's just the panel or the whole train.
Right.
Which in the beginning was just awful. The pieces were just terrible. But it gave me the confidence, and at that level, I spent a lot of time drawing all the time, letters and looking at pieces that everybody else was doing, Slave and Sack and Padre and Dak. I mean, there was so many guys, Tracy, Lee. I mean, there's lots and lots of other people that were doing stuff. People on the one train, the Gold Club team with Fuse and Anthony and Hughes and Jesus, man, there's so many of these guys that has funky style. They have funky letters and different techniques, and there's used to check out some of the old stuff that ran forever on the shuttle train by Riff and Faze and all those guys. Like their best pieces towards the end of their career became kind of the cornerstone that set off a lot of other stuff. So there was a lot of learning and trial by error, and but also connecting with cats, right? The high school I went to, which is the same high school that Part went to, but he Part's older than I am, so he graduated way in advance. But there were other writers there that I became real friendly with, Fin One, Boo Two, Mood One, Torch. I mean, there were just many guys who were good, who had skills, and were doing it. I mean, they were putting up pieces that were quality and had the skill to put up dope letter styles and really tweak the colors and stuff like that. And I was kind of like the new kid on the block. I came into school, nobody really knew who I was.
By what time was this, Kel?
Like 1977.
77, gotcha. Okay.
Right, and so I had a lot to prove. So I came into school, and I so you got to remember that by the time I got there, I had already discovered Uniwise, Miniwise, Pilot, Flowmaster Ink, Flowmaster pens. The whole art of racking. I had all that stuff already kind of like in my pocket.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So when I rolled up in there, I had gear to rock. So I blazed the whole school, son. I blazed the entire school. I totally went ballistic. Like the first week, my school was an all-boys school. And so we had real hardcore security team that went around. They were straight like ex-police and ex-military guys.
Yeah.
And they were just flipping, trying to figure out who the fuck was this kid that just wrecked. Just called wreck on the whole school in like a week. And I'm not talking little tags. I was taking big, zippy, fat, uni-wide tags all over the fucking place, man. And, so after a while I chilled because they really got kind of hot. But, since there were so many writers in the school, it was like, all right, they were watching everybody. So I made everybody hot. So I kind of laid low in the cut. I was like, all right, I ain't going to really flip this on nobody. But then, I became friends, and everybody knew it was me. They're like, "Oh, it's you doing that shit," And I became friends with this one cat, Snow. He used to write Snow One Backyard Boys. He used to hang out with Dean, and a lot of the Broadway writers. He had a lot of skill.
Nice.
And he used to do all these really dope pieces. And he literally sat next to me, man, and kind of showed me the skills. And it's like, this is, showed me lettering, showed me proportions, showed me different meanings of like letter connections and pipes and arrows and this and that. And I kind of just, took them lessons to heart. And then, between him, and he was already a senior, I was like just a freshman. So that didn't last. That didn't last that long, but it was enough to latch on to and build a strong foundation to understand where I was going to go and what I was going to become in that game. And between that and then all the different partners that I collaborated with, you know, just as I gave people outlines, people gave me outlines. You know, there's no shame in that. You know what I'm saying? And I had no problem, you know, taking the outlines from him. I took outlines from Thandi, Knock, Fuzz. I gave outlines back to other writers as well. So it was that constant exchange and kind of inspiration that kept going. I kept bouncing back from everybody, and that led to going into neighborhoods and rocking out with other cats in different neighborhoods, and you know, that's how, like, you know, I was able to do all those Wild South pieces with the way I did them, is because I had that relationship, like one-on-one relationship with all those guys. You know, where, you know, it wasn't just the Wild Style piece, but it was also the personality, the kind of stable, kind of, in a lot of cases, kind of stable big brother relationships. Like, where cats were older, kind of more stable, people like Mitch, people like Dondi, you know, even people like Crash or Kaz or Shy, you know what I'm saying? Those cats had a couple years on me, you know what I'm saying? But each one, you know, brought a different kind of skill, life skill, so to speak, to my life. You know, whether it's the patience of drawing a straight line, or having the patience to be still in my energy and understand what I'm doing without being out of focus. Right, and being able to look at things as I'm painting them and scale it, right? Not do it like too big. They have that relationship, that spatial relationship. So there was a lot of learning in that sense, right? So it wasn't just the Wild Style just came out of nowhere. It was a process of interacting and developing relationships with all these different guys from all over the city. Because it wasn't just my neighborhood. You know, I was in the South Bronx, and then I was in the West Bronx, and then I went to Manhattan, and then I went to Brooklyn, and then I went to Queens. I mean, so, you know, I made my rounds. You know, wherever there was a dope writer that I liked, and we were friends, or I was able to meet them in some way through some other cat that used to rock with them, I would make it a point to continue to rock out that way. I mean, my whole, I think the best thing about what I did was, to me, was that I collaborated with everybody. It wasn't about what I was doing. It was about what we were doing. Right. You know, I always saw it as a we thing. I never saw it as a me thing. And I still feel that way. You know what I mean? Like, there's, you know, even though, you know, I don't paint every, you know, I paint like once a year, literally. Like, I'll come out once or twice a year, I'll rock a wall here or there. But it's groundhog. Right. Yeah, exactly. I'm like the groundhog. You know, and it's cool because, you know, it takes, you know, at this point in time, you know, my life is different. So I don't have that kind of time where I can just go bombing 7 days a week. And I did. I would go paint 7 days a week. And I would be in layups and arrive, and there'd be 4 or 5 whole cars that I did from that week previously. And I'd leave there with another 4 or 5 whole cars. So, I mean, so that's not, you know, that's a lot of energy.
No shit. That's crazy.
You know what I mean? So I can't do that anymore, in the sense that I just don't have that time. I can't devote that time. I'm a dad. You know what I'm saying? Like, my children are like my world. So, like, I got to be extra on point for them. And that time that I would be doing all that is taken away from being on point for them.
Right.
But, I mean, graphics not going away. Not in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm always watching, and I, if you see me on Instagram, I interact with everybody. Whenever I see something that kind of inspires me to say something, I'm gonna say it.
Yeah.
You know, and not negative, just that it kind of inspires me to be like, damn, like them cats in Belgium or in France or in Germany or Italy where they're crushing the trains, man, or in Russia. I mean, some of that stuff, you know, and I don't look at it from the point of view where, you know, oh, your shit's whack because it's not like 1979 New York, because I think that's unfair. You know,
right.
I don't judge some cats based on who I am or where I come from or what I did, because I think that's unfair. You know, the fact that they're doing it, that's a huge merit on its own.
That's how I feel.
If they got skill,
Mm-hmm.
if they got skill on top of that, then
Even better.
then even better, right? And if they don't got skill, but they're doing it, yo, more power to you, because you know what? You keep doing it, you're going to be that dude.
Right? Today's toy could be tomorrow's dime, you know what I'm saying?
Right, because that's how it works. That's how life works. You know, and some of the stuff that these guys do is just outrageous, dude. Like, I mean, I write stuff on them, like, you know, I tease them because I'm like, yo, man, I got to get out there and like really get down on some of those cars, for real. Right? And I know damn well that I'm not in that position to just jump on a plane and end up in Belgium and do 6 top around the whole cars with those guys. That's just not my life right now.
Right.
But the excitement of seeing the amount of work and the dedication that these guys put into it, which I, you know, as a writer, you understand. You know what it takes. You know what it is to be committed and immersed 100%.
Absolutely.
That's what makes it work for me.
Yeah. You know what's crazy though, man? You mentioned, like, you know, doing collaborations and seeing things outside of just, you know, outside of New York and stuff like that. I mean, you know, I was looking at one of these pictures and, you know, earlier today, and I seen the piece that you did with Deli and that guy at Moore. And I didn't realize that guy was from Philly, and that piece was dated back in 1979, which I think is crazy because, like, you know, most New Yorkers, they're like, you know, you're an out-of-towner. I don't really want to mess with you. You're not even from the 5 boroughs. I won't even acknowledge your stuff. You know what I'm saying? But you went back before 1979 and was doing stuff with people that were from out of the state, which is crazy. I mean, what was that experience like, painting with someone from, you know, Philly at that time on trains?
You know, he was a really chill guy, man. You know, I met him for the first time at Writer's Bench.
Word!
Right. I wrote a story, you know, because I was writing the stories of the book of KEL. So I just recently finished the story on him and writing about that car. That car happened over 3 days on a Christmas holiday. It was freezing cold. And he was at Writer's Corner. I showed up at Writer's Corner and I ran into Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper used to write Fact.
Nice.
We used to hang out. It was Kid 56, Fact, and myself and my brother. 4 of us used to roll around. But it was Dr. Pepper that introduced me to Amor. And that's how we got, you know, introduced. And from that conversation, we ended up, you know, going to write and tag insides and then do that piece. Because after we hit the insides, we were like, yo, let's come back and do some pieces. You know, he was in town only for a short time, you know, like a week or so. He had already been there a few days, and so his holiday of being in New York was running out by the time I met him. And I was just like, okay, so since you're leaving in a day or two, so we'll tag some insides today. Tomorrow we can go, you know, we'll go rack after we tag, and then we'll come back the next day and do the pieces. And so it's me, him, Bantu, because Bantu used to write Deli, and we went, racked, got our paint, came back the next day. I did some drawings for the pieces that we did, that we painted. And, yeah, we went up to the layup to paint it, and we got chased.
Damn.
Yeah, but it was interesting because, you know, we were working. If you really look at that train, the deli piece is the most finished piece.
Right. That's like a sexy ass piece too, man.
Because you know, I was like helping him more with that piece, that I didn't spend any time on my piece or helping Amor with his piece. Not enough to make it finished, right?
Right.
But that was that whole experience, and he was a really chill, non-drama type guy, man, real calm. And then after that, I think I saw him maybe one or two times after that. Then he bounced to Philly, and I never saw him again.
Gotcha.
In fact, I spoke to Henry. Last year, I saw him I did a Q&A with him at the Film Forum on Houston Street, and he was showing Star Wars, and you know, that car came up, and we started talking about it, and he goes, "Oh yeah, you know, I spoke to him the other day. He's doing good, still in Philly, this, that, and the other." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Good to know he's still around." So yeah, he's floating around in the universe somewhere. So he's yours.
That's dope, man. So you mentioned also that you wrote with your brother. What did your brother write?
So my brother wrote Mayor 139.
Okay.
Yeah, we did quite a few cars.
That's nice.
Not as many as I would have liked.
Okay.
But we definitely rocked on some cool stuff. Did some stuff with Don D. We did some stuff with Shy and Cause and you know, Case and Crash and all that. That was cool.
Yeah, man. You definitely. I mean, you know, you mentioned a lot of big names that you actually had the privilege to write next to, and those are some amazing collaborations, man. Did you actually ever mentor anyone, or I know you said you gave outlines and you took outlines as well, but was there anyone that maybe specifically you kind of took under the wing, and I won't say maybe take under the wing, but you know, that you actually mentored or kind of showed them the ropes when it came to style and burning?
You know, I don't think that I would look at it that way.
Right.
That my relationships were like that, right? Okay. It was like, you know, when you're a kid and you collect baseball cards and you trade them.
Yes. Right.
So it was kind of like that.
Okay.
Right. I like, and I still like to sketch all the tags and all the names for a lot of reasons.
Okay.
Letters or they got a fire in them, they got style by themselves, and then it kind of creates that kind of inspiration to kind of freak the letters.
Right.
And also then, you know, if the person who's the tag is super chill, then it makes it more interesting to be like, yo, check out this dope piece I did with your tag on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, not that I expect to push or change anybody's particular point of view or particular style.
Right.
But it's more of just like kind of an exchange.
Okay.
Right. I mean, there are a lot of cool pieces for people, you know, on paper that, you know, a lot of them were done. You know, I did stuff for Van 2, I did stuff for Senior Way, I did stuff for Cos, Shy, Min. I did a lot of Min drawings. Paid. But it was more to kind of trade or to sort of like inspire them to do their own thing.
Right.
Not so much as like, yo, I'm gonna teach you, like, you know, because these guys, you know, they already had their spot,
right,
so to speak, right? You know, they already had their flow going on.
Okay.
You know, so I wasn't, you know, changing that or making that better. I was just like, this is what my interpretation is of a dope Van 2 piece. Nice. Because I had the inspiration of watching a cool 131 joint fly by, and I was like, oh, that's dope. I could see that return like this or that. You know what I'm saying? Like, So there's a lot of inspiration that, it's all about being inspired.
Right.
Right. It's not about putting somebody under the wing, so to speak.
I could see that it was pretty common back then too. It wasn't. I don't think you were the only one doing it. You guys would kind of do it for each other, right? I've seen. I want to say Dondi write names for other people, men and
sure.
So it was pretty. It was pretty common, I guess, right?
It was really common. I got hip to it. Honestly, the first experience of that came from that one writer, Snow, in high school.
Okay.
He's the one who really put me on to it. He was like, yo, there's Billy 167, there's Bean, there's this one, there's that one, Phase. These guys are all handing out outlines. A lot of people doing stuff this way and that and the other way because they're getting stuff from this person or that person. And you start to see the paintings happen. Mm-hmm. You see these trains rolling by with these, amazing burners. Right? They're just... Damn. And they're different, right? But once you get the backstory to understand, this dude did that car because he was rocking with this guy,
right?
That became kind of like the secret among all the really dope writers, right? You have writers that some people will probably never know who they were or seen what they've done, but their pieces were amazing. People like Maurice or Moore 707 or Bot 707 or fucking Ward, who used to write Best 149 and used to write with Cool 131 all the time, or Peso 131, Cool's cousin, who's that rapper, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff like that unless you get into the real history of it, you start to learn that was happening at the highest level with a lot of the dope writers, which is why everybody at the top is always blazing off like cool shit, because they were inspiring each other, and a lot of times they were collaborating or exchanging drawings. A lot of stuff that came out of Knock went to Chain or went to Cade or Teen or Fed or whoever. I mean, all these guys, we all did that, right? Some people fell off and disappeared, and some people kept going.
Right.
And you could tell by the work. Work sticks around. Some writers, write for a few years, like Scheme wrote for 2 or 3 years and then went to the Army.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and then there are other guys who stayed in it longer, and they became the Sass or the T Kid of our times.
What was some of your? I know so again you've done a lot of productions. What were some of your favorite cars, possibly?
I mean, there's a lot of pieces that I think are really good. One of my favorite cars, I would say, the car I did with Dondi and Rappel.
Okay.
And Rappel was one of those writers that was down with TMT and TDS. He was dope.
Mm-hmm.
But he him like myself, collaborated with a lot of heads and got drawings from other writers too. He got stuff from Cool. He got stuff from Knock. So his work is sick. He used to write Heat. He used to write with Billy. I mean, he was dope. I used to go to his house a lot. He lived out in Brooklyn, out by Halsey L Playhouse. And we did Dondi did a Knuckle. He did a Knuckle. I did a Kel.
Okay.
And Rappel did a Dive. That's what it was. Knuckle Kel Dive.
That's
we
dope.
been calling a brand new silver car. She was flavor, kid. All white outlines. Yeah, that was probably one of my favorite, really, really nice pieces. I got others, but that one in particular, I kind of dig. I did stuff with Shock and Rin that were pretty dope that I like a lot. Nice. So and all different writers, different pieces. Their style gets better and different over time.
I like that one car that you did with Scene and PJ, man. Did you ever get roped into any of their beefs because of painting with those guys?
No, I didn't get into their grief of their own. I mean, I ended up having my own grief with PJ, but that was just old bullshit.
Yeah.
But that car, you know, it's interesting because that car, that was another car. That's another good example of, you know, I did all the drawings and yeah, it's so funny. I hate that car.
Really? Man, I like that car, man.
And so don't get so let me just clarify. Like I don't. When I say I don't like the car, it's not because I painted with either of those guys. Because you know we were friends then, and we did do the pieces together with a good amount of love amongst each other to do the piece. It was just I was unhappy with the result. Right, it wasn't the polished result that I was looking for, and it was an interesting car because we did it in a layup,
right.
Literally a layup. My thing was really layups, honestly, like tunnels if necessary. Yards probably rare, but I did it. But elevated layups was my shit. That was my thing, because of the ability to escape.
Mm-hmm.
And either climb onto the train and slide down the L, or run on top of the train. And I mean, there's all sorts of getaway tactics if you get raided, which I did it all the time.
Sliding down the L sucks.
Yeah, it does. It does. But you know what? Cops are more afraid than you are to do that.
No, you're right. You're right. That just sucks.
Yeah, no, it does hurt. You know, I didn't have to do it a lot. I did it, you know, enough times to know that it's an option that afforded me enough confidence to go and smash a layup and not worry about getting chased or getting caught, rather. And,
right.
And that was the whole thing, you know. And that car was done at a layup, and it looks like I did it on a platform because it was top to bottom. We did the top and all that shit. And, you know, the windows were broken, which is another, like, key. Like, I didn't want my car with a broken. You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
You know, so that kind of, like, added to, like, the whole thing. I was like, right. But, you know, when you think about colors and how things look, that car does have a lot of appeal.
Right.
You know, and it started off on the good premise of what I felt was going to be kind of a bold, strong car.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the scene piece. If you look at how the letters on the scene piece is, it was the kind of flavor that I wanted the rest of the car to have, and it kind of just didn't come out. You know, and I think, you know, part of it was that, you know, the drawings, you know, they started off on a good foot.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that as they were being filled in, you know, PJ filled his in, and he didn't fill it in. Like, he didn't have the same kind of skill that Scene did.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And
there's not many that do.
Right.
You know?
And you know, and you know, Scene's dope. So that kind of took it down a notch. But he did a good job in coloring it in and all that. But it's still, I think the car, because, you know, I felt like the windows had busted in a couple of places, and it just threw me off. I can't exactly pinpoint on it. I didn't like my character. There's a few things about it that didn't come out right.
Man, I like that Bode, man.
Yeah, nah,
tear that whole car up, man.
Yeah, but I guess, you know, I get people play. I
like the Futura car.
I ain't mad at that. You know, Martha Cooper blew it up, you know, life size for like the Hip Hop Files when I went to that exhibit years ago.
Okay.
And then when I went to Madrid recently for the Art Is Not a Crime, it was blown up large there too.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, like, I ain't mad at it. It's a good car. You know, the whole thing came out chill. The character in the corner was chill. I mean, you know.
Right. Well, I mean, I also liked it because it wasn't the usual suspects. It wasn't like your whole CIA gang or the RTW, WOW,
well,
TV stuff. You know what I'm saying?
that's the thing about it, right?
It was like a cameo, like, oh shit, UA meets RTW, CIA. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it was the phases of writing with different crews and at different timelines, and my career. You know, I mean, I wrote for a good 10+ years.
Right.
Consistently.
I like the car with Futura. That was a dope car.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah,
that was a fun car. That was a fun car.
Yeah,
yeah. You know, and painting with Future was fun too. You know, you know, we did a couple cars, and I think the first time it was more. He's just like kind of let me loose, right? I was like, yeah, I want to do this car. We went to the one tunnel, and I did the drawing again, and we filled it in. It came out chill, and then we did the cheap twizzle shit, and the second time, he was like, yeah, I'm gonna do my thing, and I'm like, Brad, like rock. I mean, I'm not trying to dictate. Like, show me what you got. And he freaked that whole feeling, and I was like, yeah, that's hot.
The blend
right
stuff.
After that, right after that, he did that whole car. Remember that whole car brake that was all filled in,
right?
That was a giant. That was right after the second time he and I painted.
Yeah, it was juicy. It was juicy. It was juicy.
Yeah, no, that's monumental, man. You know, that was a real monumental piece. You know,
ahead of the time action.
Yeah, yeah, and he was down to go pretty much anywhere. You know, we went to the one tunnel, we went to Gun Hill Road, which is another spot
that
I used to smash on the regular because it was outside, but it was different than a regular layup. Because it was like a city hall layup, but outside, right? Like, you know, so it was literally like a city hall layup, but outside. That's what made it real attractive. It was like on a second platform that nobody used.
Oh, there was a question. It goes back to when we brought your brother up real quick. So I mean, was there any particular reason why you guys didn't paint as much, being that you guys were brothers? Because I mean, you know, there was so many great partnerships with family members like Smith Hussein, you know, and Kid 56 and FDT.
Yeah, but even Kid 56 and FDT didn't really write a lot together either, right?
Gotcha.
And I think, you know, part of the reason that, you know, my brother and I didn't paint the way I would have liked us to paint.
Okay.
He you know, he didn't have the same interest in it as I did.
Okay.
Right. So that was the first thing. The second thing was also, you know, he went to a art school.
Yeah.
Right. And his interest in art came from that point of view.
Gotcha.
I didn't go to art school. I went to school essentially to become a journalist and a printer.
Okay.
Books. And for me, it was no art. So the only art, so to speak, that I knew or I came to have that wasn't in the same formal training that he had came from my understanding of words and letters and typography.
Right.
Right. And then, you know, inspired by architecture and the way old world architecture kind of relates to the letters and shapes of graph. Right. So that was my art kind of education. Right. And so that became more understandable for me to be more interested in painting, because that had a more direct impact and more direct relationship. You know, it wasn't until college where I started to learn. I went to a formal training. I went to formal art school, or art college, right, where I learned about real art history, Picasso, Cezanne, Monet, you know, all the big guys. And then by then, you know, at that point, I'm playing catch up to his education.
Right.
Right. He had done that in high school, and I went into college to learn that. Right. So we always had that distance in that sense, where painting to him wasn't as inspiring or important. Well, it was important, but it wasn't inspiring. Right. But he made it a point to be around the Parks and Knox and Chains and all the other guys who were doing stuff. So, but he wasn't as motivated or driven to get up in the same way that I was.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I thought it might have been like a competition thing, or it might have been like, I don't want to be my brother's keeper on this in case something happens at the layup. I don't want to be responsible or something like that. Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, there's that too, right? That's not like it's not that hasn't come up, but it was, the larger piece of it was, that he just didn't have the interest. Right?
Okay.
And at the speed that things move.
Yeah.
He wasn't keeping up, right? For lack of interest and for lack of capacity, right?
Right.
Because he wasn't embracing it the way I was embracing it.
Hey, Kel.
I was fully immersed.
Right. Piggybacking off of that topic, that topic right there. Who would you say that would always kind of be knocking on your door like, yo, let's go out, let's go do what we got to do. Who would you say had the best drive or the biggest drive to be out there and to get up that you painted with?
I mean, I honestly, very few cats matched the interest or enthusiasm that I had to want to go paint.
Okay.
Kid 56 possibly. He was pretty, incessant about it.
Right.
And then later, way later, came Min.
I was about to say, Min didn't feel like doing it. I know he had it.
Yeah, and in the beginning, Min was non-existent for a lot of stuff, but it wasn't too much later when things were starting to kind of die down in general that he was more that higher energy. But in between, I was the big instigator in that sense, the big motivator, trying to find like, yo, we got to go do this. We got to do that. I mean, I was, I literally went 7 days a week to some layup, to tag, to do throw up, to do a piece, something.
Damn.
And I spent the majority of my day drawing outlines almost all day. I mean, the other stuff too. I mean, I was a good student, so I read shit and I wrote things and, I did math, so I did, get an education and process, but I spent a good portion of time really finessing the stylistic flow that I was able to do and continue to do.
So you seem to have been a good student. Did you lose all of your work along the years, like all of your notes, your books, and your sketches? Or
I mean, there's stuff that I've lost, and there's stuff that I've kept.
Nice.
I think a lot of the early stuff I knew I was going to lose.
Okay.
I knew that if I didn't entrust somebody else, like a Henry,
right,
to hold it or have it, it would never be preserved.
Gotcha.
Right.
My house, my apartment's burned twice.
Wow.
Damn.
I moved around a lot in the South Bronx. So there was no way, knowing the pattern of my life, that I could expect to hold on to a notebook of drawings the way that Dondi was able to, for instance, or Crash was able to, right? I didn't have that kind of stability in my life.
Gotcha.
So when Henry came around, it was natural to be like, yo, I'll trade you some drawings for some pictures, because pictures, if I lose the pictures, fuck it. I lost the pictures many times, by the way. But I'll get new pictures because I know you got the negatives, right? And that was the whole point. And at least the drawings would be saved.
Nice.
For something else later, which I didn't really have an idea of what was going to happen to it later, but I just knew that they should be saved. Okay. And he did save it. And,
that's nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The show in Madrid, was kind of like a mini retrospect on my career and my life in writing. Because, having 2 whole trains on display, having countless cars on the walls, and all the drawings that he showed, I mean, there was a large body of my work there. The cars that I did, cars that I didn't do, that I had a hand in, when it was a drawing or a character, or whatever. There's all sorts of shit. So I went across the board and did so much stuff that he was able to save it.
Right.
And he saved all the drawings, and that's actually a good thing, because I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
What
Not the early stuff.
Right. Real quick, so what type of emotions kind of go through you at a show like that when you're looking at, all of these bodies of work and you're kind of reminiscing on the times and your peers? What are some emotions that you kind of go through, or memories or thoughts that go through your head?
There's definitely a good feeling, a happy feeling that, we're being recognized.
Right.
It's not just me being recognized, but it's that we are being recognized by the international, world.
Yeah, because you got to remember, you guys are the Picassos of graffiti, in that sense.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm proud, because I feel like we did it. We were able to reach that point. Not because any one person got up more than the next person, but that we collectively all got up.
Right.
And for whatever differences, we had differences. Like, there were beefs with people. There were lots of beefs that went through, and cats got slapped around many times. But in spite of all of that, to keep it real as a human person, as a human being, we kept it together.
Nice.
And I think that we still keep it together, because if we didn't, we wouldn't have this global scene that we have across the planet.
Right.
I mean, I've heard some cats in South Africa, like Pakistan, Russia. I mean, like, there's cats everywhere. And because of that, because we kept it together, we arrived. And that became the crowning, the moment that we finally, like, okay. Like, there's been plenty of writers that have gotten into galleries, all those guys, Quick, all of them. They're all seen, they've all been in galleries, national galleries. And look, I've got permanent stuff at the Brooklyn Museum Gallery. That's not the same.
Right.
Those are individual accomplishments that are important, but they're individual. What's important is the collection as a whole that represents the entire community, the way Henry put it together. Right, and Henry didn't put it together, those guys in Spain did at the International Museum there. But the point being is that collection that Henry had invested his life into.
Yeah.
Right? He went above and beyond that any person, in my opinion, should probably do. But it was important because he saw something in it that nobody else saw.
Yeah, he took a big risk.
He took a tremendous risk. How many times has he not been robbed and lost pictures and cameras and this, and invested in people that people let him down and took advantage of him? But his big payday is this huge collection that we all contributed to, regardless of our differences, to come together to create this global community and now be recognized by an international museum.
Right.
That's big. That's probably the single most proudest moment I could ever think of.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And it's not my accomplishment.
Right.
It's not just mine. I think we all share it because we all contributed to it. And it's one of the problems that I have with certain writers who think that they're owed anything. You know, there's plenty of cats like a Riff or a FaZe or a Miko or any of these older guys who feel like we should be fucking sucking their toes because they did this or that, the other thing before anybody else. Like, you know what? Who gives a fuck?
Right.
You might have created like Green and Red together, but you know what? Green and Red was done 20 times better, 100 times over for 10 years after the fact. So what does that mean? Who cares? It's not about that. Right? Really. You know, you can't lay claim to things that existed even before graffiti, right? If you look at commercial art and the history of commercial art and letters and the way colors were done and strokes were done and shadows and 3D, all that shit was done already. That's not new to graffiti. That's old, done by somebody else. So taking it out of context in that regard is kind of a pointless, useless conversation. Putting it in context as a community who came together and inspired each other and fought with each other and disagreed with each other, and made something of a big impact on a global scale, that's something to really talk about. That's something that's more important than bitching and moaning and showing up to a show and being a fucking thump on a log and expecting anybody to come pouring over to you because you're whoever, when like really you should just be fucking happy that people even recognize you and give you props because you're part of this and you exile yourself for it. And there's plenty of cats like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I can't subscribe to that bullshit. You know, like I'm like, yo, really? Whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not.
No, I know exactly what you're saying.
You know, singling anybody out. You know, for whatever reason, it's like whatever. We're a fucking community. In we, there is no me. So like, fuck that. You know, I didn't create this by myself. And no one else can claim that they created anything by themselves. Yeah. So that just be straight out lie.
Any good stories while you was out there doing the documentary for Subway Art Star Wars? Any funny bloopers behind the scenes things? Any
and
stories you want to share about that?
Stories. I mean, there's always funny stories, man. You know, bloopers. Not really. Funny stories, yeah. I mean, you know, I think that one of the highlights of the Spain thing was being able to paint one of those trains,
right?
And the train that we ended up painting was the train that replaced the KEL Futura train that we talked about earlier.
Okay.
Oh wow!
And when I was in Spain, I spoke to Suso, who put the show together. I was like, look, man, I'd love to paint one of those trains, because he showed me a video of him and Blade rocking one of those trains.
Wow.
And, he had asked my brother to paint with him and Blade, but my brother didn't want to paint, so he didn't paint the train. I would have painted the train quick without second thought. But I was like, whatever. Get the girl later. Paint the train now. And that's one of the exactly. And that, and that's a really interesting point in general, right? I think about graffiti in the beginning of my career, and we're growing up and we're starting to, young boys start to understand their bodies and the facility that they're evolving in, and all of a sudden girls come along and they look attractive, right? And there's a list of problems with that picture, right? From pregnancy down to STD to all sorts of shit, right?
Right.
And if you don't know what lays behind that door, so to speak, you can get yourself into trouble. and you can. Right. It's just as easy as committing a crime and then paying for it later and being regretful. Right. It was the thing that I knew what was behind that enough to understand, like, I'm not ready for that.
Right.
You know, I ain't messing with that. I just got into the graph thing really hard. I was like, yeah, I'll figure out the girl thing later and know that I got to do this first.
Right.
And I made that a priority. And that was the big difference in the end that allowed me to put more focus and attention into it, you know. And it's just being disciplined about it, right? You know, and getting back to that train in Spain, and so, like, you know, I told Suso, I was like, look, man, whatever it takes to get that train. I was going to Florence to go see Toxic and go paint in his studio. And I was like, look, I'll put up a few drawings, I'll do some paintings, we could just sell them and just pay for the fucking canvas. And it's not a canvas, it's some weird material. And we can put up a train there, and I'll rock it live. We'll get Montana to put up the paint.
Yeah.
It ended up turning out the way it did, which was cool. And I didn't have to sell any paintings. I would have loved to sell a painting anyway. But the point was that, you know, I'm willing to do what the fuck it takes.
Exactly.
And I'm not bullshitting. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm for real about it, you know, and you can't get anywhere in your life if you ain't about it. And you don't got to go around with a bullhorn talking shit to let motherfuckers know that you're live. And that's really how it works. You know what I'm saying? Like, cats can talk all they want to say. But in a real situation, when it's real, you'll know who's live and who's not.
Right.
Because it's not an invitation. It's not a forewarning. It just is. Right. It just happens. And life just happens, and if you don't understand life like that, then you'll fall into the pitfalls of the bullshit with chicks, bullshit with other cornballs on the street. You know what I mean? And you don't get ahead because you can't focus on what's important. You know, if you can't control yourself emotionally, you ain't never going to control anything else in your life. You ain't going to control your paper. You ain't going to control where you live, how you keep a family. You can't control anything. Right. Because you're constantly firing off, and everything is a drastic drain, you know. And that's an important lesson to learn. And you only learn that if you're paying attention. And if you got a good support system to show you different. You know, I was fortunate that I had people in my life that showed me different.
Right.
Right. You know, I had the Dondies, the Mitches, the Snows, I had a number of guys who had a real big presence in terms of their stature and in terms of their demeanor to illustrate what was important and how to manage navigating, not just graph. You know, it was life. You know, and yeah, my dad was a big person in that picture. But, you know, on the dad came all those guys, all those writers that I looked up to, that I had relationships, you know, that embraced me and brought me into their homes. You know, I sat at their dinner table with their parents and their siblings. You know, big difference, man.
Right.
So no bloopers. But the train was dope.
No bloopers.
Right. The train was dope. It took way too much paint to paint. I mean, literally, Montana put up so much paint. I used almost half of it just to do a stupid fill-in that looked like it was barely filled in.
Damn.
But, you know, in the process, you know, amazing coverage, lots of press, you know, all kinds of, you know, invitations of sorts from people. So it was cool, you know, and I hope that it continues to be kind of the same inspirational collection of works that are able to tell the story a little bit better for everybody.
Right.
There's a lot of cats that, contributed their basically their childhood, their life to me, to other guys who became good too. So I'm not just, to a part. They're behind us are legions of dope writers who contributed their lives to this, that become transferred to me, to him, to a lot of guys, and that continue to feed the world and then continue to talk about it and should be talking about it in a way that, helps everybody become educated about how important it was and how important it is. Like the next writers are important too. It's not, it doesn't stop here, but we have a wealth of knowledge that we get to share. We should be sharing it. It shouldn't be the me book.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. I mean, I'll do a book about me too. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because I got my own story, but the truth of the matter is that it's a we thing. It's always been we.
I think last but not least, so you're working on, obviously you're working on your books. You've done some works that made it into the Brooklyn Museum, and you've done some things overseas. I know you said you were working on some projects. You want to talk about some of those projects real quick, or? Yeah, I mean, I'm doing, what does KEL first in the next chapter of his life, look like, and what kind of style that is? Does it look like the stuff from before? Does it look like it came off a train? It's a little bit of a lot of things, but it's also understanding that it's art. As much as I'm a writer, I'm going to create art. Because it is art. And even though it is writing, it is still the art of writing. And, taking it to that context and flipping it, right? Doing something interesting, something different, and using something other than spray paint and a marker. Trying maybe a brush paint and trying see what comes out then, right? And that's really what it's about, evolving, right? What do we do next? The top to bottom is but so big. What do you do after that? Right? What is Lee doing now? All top to bottom whole cars that he did with all his guys. Mm-hmm. He's the only one standing. He's literally the only one standing after, slave, right? So there's slave and him. And that's it. Mono's gone, Doc's gone. Not dead, but they're just not painting. Active.
Right.
Right, they're not active. All right. So what is the next evolution? I think we have to always shoot for how do we become a better you or us, right?
Right.
That's the next thing to do. I'm always going to write. I got markers. I have tons of shit around. But you know what I mean? Like we're going to, what do we do next with it, right? And there's a lot of cool things going on, man. There's cats in different countries that are doing some really slick shit, and there's a lot to learn from everybody else, which is also important.
Right.
I 2 years ago, I told Fade how I was impressed with a lot of the techniques that a lot of writers, and this was one guy in particular, man, I can't think of his tag. There's two guys, actually. Rasco, something like that.
Yeah.
And then there was another dude, Helio.
Okay.
And they got a real interesting technique and style, and of course the paint today is sick. 70 shades of red and 40 shades of blue and all kinds of stuff. So you could do a lot of really funky stuff.
Yeah.
Right? We just got to understand the nozzles, which is a whole other system.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I think all of that evolution by itself is even dope, right? Because now we have tools that we didn't have and we have the ability to think a little bit more creatively of what else can we do, And so, what am I doing next? I'm doing the next thing that seems logical in taking the time out to explore and look at art,
right?
Real art in the sense that's not graph, and how does that relate to that, right? And my brother talks a lot about that stuff.
Gotcha.
But he talks about that relationship, right? And it's different, and to some degree, he kind of lived it in that sense, right? My life and the interpretation of how he's doing it is different because I'm a painter. I'm a real graph writer. I paint trains. I painted trains. I paint walls, and I paint.
Right.
I'll do sculptures and stuff like that, and jewelry and work with metal. But I'm a painter. So what I do is going to be more related to painting than what he's doing, right? But it's saying the same thing, but interpreted in a different way.
Okay.
Right? But he's doing it, and he's talking about it. And if other writers and painters are paying attention, they would see the leap and understand that the language and the relationships between what's happened in the past with what we've done, and then there's a lot of things that overlap and have inspiration that find new places to develop the next thing, right? And you see it. I see it a lot on Instagram, which is one of the. As much as I don't like Facebook, it's probably one, and I hate the fact that they bought Instagram. Yeah. But Instagram is probably one of the best applications that I think help us as a community get together, right? And my dream would be to create my version of an Instagram app just for us,
right?
That's not connected to those guys. Because I don't think they deserve it, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
Right. So, yeah.
No, I mean...
Any last
Graffstars.
How bad?
Things you want to share with us, with the listeners?
Just keep rocking, dog. Have fun. That's all I got to say. Just do it.
Love
Be
it.
about it. And just keep going to the next level, and don't get caught up in little tiny riff-raff bullshit. Like, just try to elevate yourself as much as you can, and really, elevating yourself is also helping elevate everybody around you. And if you're not around people that are elevating you, then you can't elevate yourself, and much less elevate them. And that's no point in being around that.
That deserves a little me right there.
Yeah. Loving it, man.
Yo, thank you for coming out, man.
No doubt.
And blessing us with this exclusive, man. I really appreciate it, brother.
It's past my bedtime, son. What are you talking about?
Oh, man. No, we really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
We had a blast, brother. We had a blast.
I'm glad. I mean, I like talking about all that stuff and where we come from and what we're doing. So it's all love.
All right, cool, man.
There you have it. There you have it.
Well, I'll get up with you soon. All right, brother.
Definitely. All right.
Big Kel one. It's a pleasure, Papa.
All right. Likewise. Peace.
Kel first, baby.
There ain't no such things as halfway crooks.
Sunday shook, baby.
No, I mean. Keep them shook.
I got jokes, all right. I'm like Sloan here.
Please send correspondence to D1NYC, care of Graffstars HD Network. P.O. Box 5345, Oceanside, California, 92052.
I'm willing to do what the fuck it takes.